Hey guys, my name is Isaac, and today I'm going to be giving you a quick tutorial on redstone powering. Specifically, how to make sure that any blocks in your redstone contraption are powered or not powered as you want them to be. I was quite surprised at the lack of tutorials on this kind of thing, and whenever I tried to make my own contraptions, I ended up being surprised when blocks that I expected to be powered weren't, or when blocks that I didn't think would be powered actually were. So the first thing I'm going to cover is the difference between a hard-powered and a soft-powered block. A hard-powered block will power any redstone device next to it, for example a piston or a comparator or a repeater, and will also power any redstone line coming out of it. So a hard-powered block would be a block of redstone, that's effectively a power source. A redstone torch also acts as one. Anything that's attached to a lever will act as a hard-powered block when on, so the lever will hard-power the block it's attached to. Anything a repeater or comparator goes into will be hard-powered, so if we activate this line, that repeater is hard-powering this block, which powers the line. We can swap that out for a comparator, does the same thing. Now, a redstone contraption such as a piston can't be hard-powered, so even if I flip the lever, it powers the device, but won't power the redstone line. Now, a soft-powered block will also power redstone things next to it, but will not power redstone lines coming out of it. So this block here is soft-powered because it has a redstone line coming into it. So these levers and comparators hard-power the blocks. A redstone line will soft-power anything it interacts with. So this block here is soft-powered, so it powers the comparator and the repeater, other way around, that are attached to it, but it won't power this redstone line. However, this block, which is also soft-powered, will power the redstone piston, which is connected to it. Now, you should note that only a block that the redstone is actually pointing into can be soft-powered by the redstone. This block here, even though it's next to it, isn't being soft-powered because the redstone isn't pointing into it. And this piece goes around the corner, and this piece is just going to that block. So this piston won't be powered. One thing interesting about hard-powered blocks is they won't power the lines next to them, or the blocks next to them. So if I deactivate this line, so this redstone block is hard-powered, but the block next to it isn't even being soft-powered. The comparator doesn't get anything off it. If I replace that with a repeater, no difference. So if we have a look at this thing here, this redstone block powers this, because that's touching the block. It does not power this block in any way, so this piston doesn't get powered, and it doesn't power this thing, so this won't get powered. Now, an interesting exception to this is the redstone torch, which acts as a hard power source, so it won't power this block, so this piston doesn't get powered, but it will hard power the block above it. So it will power the piston which is touching it, because this block is a hard power source. And if I add a piece of redstone dust, that will be powered by this hard-powered block. That shows you that it's hard-powered and not soft-powered. Just to show you that that's from the torch mechanic and not anything else. If I replace that with the redstone block again, that dust will be unpowered again. So this has a couple of applications, which I will get to in a second. A block which is soft-powered can be soft-powered by redstone above it. So redstone can either go into a block to soft power it, for example this block here. So if I power that, no, go away. If I soft power this, the redstone is going into it, that soft powers it. A block will also be soft powered if redstone is above it. So this block here is being soft powered by the redstone above it, which means this comparator is picking it up, this repeater is picking it up. I just added the block there to show you that the redstone isn't somehow connecting straight to it. But as you can see, this redstone is unpowered. Now, a hard-powered block will power redstone below it, as well as connected to it. So this redstone torch, which is effectively a hard-powered block, powers this redstone line. The repeater then hard-powers this block, which also powers the redstone line under it. Just to show you that it's not like redstone dust, which powers everything below it, a comparator will not power blocks below it. So I can put a piston here, that will not be powered. If I replace that with a dust powers the block underneath it, so the piston extends. And as shown here, same as this one. So that block is being powered, but in this instance it's being hard powered by the comparator, so this line is also active. Now, there are several ways to power any given component in your Redstone machine. Some components can only be powered a certain way. For example, this piston, you can't power it from the point the head is on. So if I try to power that, that's not going to do anything. Same here, a redstone line will soft power the block below it, so normally that would be activated. But because that's the side the head is, it can't be powered from that. I put the comparator there because if I put a redstone dust there, that soft powers that block, and any device attached to a soft powered block will power. So in that case it's being powered not by the redstone on it, but with the redstone next to it. So if I replace that with the comparator, repeater, sorry, put the dust back on top of it, actually, and point it that way, you can see that will be powered, because the redstone dust powers what's underneath it. So there are, in a way, 4 levels you can power a device at. So you can have something like this. If you soft power the block under, say a piston, that piston will be powered because it's touching the soft powered block. You can run the line directly into the piston. So in this case it's not touching the powered block, it is the powered block. Although as shown over there, it won't power anything else next to it. So I can put another piston there, that won't do anything. You can have a setup like this where you're soft powering the block underneath the redstone, which will power the piston. So that piston is not being powered by the dust directly, it's being powered by the soft powered block which is under the dust. That's an important distinction. Now this setup will do nothing to the piston because the redstone line isn't going into it and the soft powered block isn't touching it. However, if you wanted to power something in this situation, you could add another dust that then connects and soft powers the piston underneath it. And then finally, if you have a redstone line going along here, that soft powers this block, which then powers the piston touching that block. This is something I was caught out by a couple of times. I had a piston underneath a redstone line and was confused when it would be powered. So the basics of redstone is anything that's a power source will give out what's called a signal strength of 15. That means this first powered point will have full power, and as you go along the line, eventually it drops to 0. So if we count those up, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 redstone lines can be powered by one power source. If you want to extend it, you use a repeater. So a repeater has to have a signal strength of at least 1. So the strongest signal strength right here is 15. The weakest signal strength right here is 1. This next power or piece of redstone dust has a signal strength of 0. So this repeater isn't going to get anything. But this repeater picks up that 1 and once again gives you a strength of 15. So I've got another 15 pistons here. As you can see, all of them are powered. Now, special mention to the redstone torches which we saw earlier. So as we saw, a redstone torch will hard power any block directly above them. So if we put a torch here, that hard powers this block, and a redstone torch of course will become unpowered if it is attached to any block that is hard or soft powered. So as you can see here, this block is hard powered, which turns off the torch. This block is soft powered by that redstone line, also turns off the torch. So that just continues up like so. So that block's hard powered, which means this is off, which means this is unpowered completely. So there's nothing turning off this, which will then hard power that. So if I stick a torch on there, etc, etc. And if you want to use this thing, you have to make sure you're at the right height, because if you try to power anything at this level, this level's kind of off, so you can't really do anything. You have to go one more level up, and then you have a power signal. So it can be used to transmit power upwards very space efficiently. So as you can see, that's only a 1 block wide tower, but you have to make sure things line up at the right height. So you might need to, say you wanted to, give me a second here, you might have to invert the signal. So let's say you had a high, your switch was there, that powers that, you might want to turn that off instead of instead of having it like that, so that would invert it. You can make a slightly different variation on the torch tower like this. So if we have this block's hard powered, this torch is attached to that block, this torch is not, even though it's in the same space. So if I get rid of that, put that one there, that's connected to that block, so it's going to switch off. If I put it there, that's attached to this block, which is not being powered by this torch, so that's going to switch on. That's then going to hard power this block, which means that's not going to be powered, which means that's not powered, so that turns on, etc, etc. So this takes up an extra block of width, but it means that at every level you have power. So you could run a redstone line off pretty much any point in that system. So that's being run off this block, which is hard powered, or you could go up one level. And that's then being powered by the torch, which is hard powered. So this setup gives you power at any level. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to show you in this video. So hopefully that gives you some idea of why things might be working or not working the way you want them to. I'm not going to go into things like comparators and how they work, or the timing of redstone repeaters. Other people have covered that. I just thought I'd go more into how exactly just power works and why some things might be behaving the way they are. Yeah, hope that helps and hope you learned something.